Me and her AP's wife crashed their little date with a date of our own. This is going to sound nuts, but I have to share. My entire world shifted a couple of months back, and it all began at this stupid concert. My wife of 7 years, Jen, and I bumped into this couple. The guy, Mike, works with my wife, and the awkwardness when they saw each other was more than just noticeable. They lit up a bit but scrambled to shut it down, and it was so painfully obvious. I'm not Sherlock, but I picked up on their energy instantly. I ended up having a casual chat with Mike. Found out he and Jen are quite the pair at work. What really put me on alert was when Jen casually dropped Mike's wife's name in our conversation, even though she didn't utter a single word to her at the concert. It was crystal clear. Jen and Mike weren't just swapping office gossip. They were spilling tea on their home lives. The gears in my head started turning. I knew I had to get in touch with Mike's wife, Rachel. So I did. I looked her up, sent her a message asking if she could call me, gave her my number, and waited. To my surprise, she did call. So I told her straight up I thought our spouses were having an affair. I braced myself for a blow-up, but it didn't come. Instead, we ended up talking for almost an hour about our suspicions, our lives, our dreams. I hadn't had a deep conversation with another woman besides my wife in years. It was strangely liberating. We decided to keep our lines of communication open and observe the situation, reporting back to each other when things seemed off. A few days later, the cliché unfolded. Both Jen and Mike worked late and returned home to rush straight into the shower. I felt a cold anger welling up, but there was also a strange calmness. Rachel and I confirmed our worst suspicions, and with heavy hearts, decided to strike back. For the record, this was initially Rachel's idea, although it was so insane that I almost didn't go along with it at first. But then the idea of it all became almost an obsession for me. It became exciting. Let me explain. The next day we each filed for divorce but didn't rush to have them serve the papers anytime soon. We had a plan, a wickedly satisfying plan. We were going to let them taste their own medicine by faking an affair of our own. Not the most mature approach, but hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. And in the chaos and turmoil of the anger and hurt, this was giving me something to look forward to. It really helped me find a point of focus so I didn't die from a broken heart. So after a day or two, Rachel and I discovered that Jen and Mike were planning to rendezvous at a quaint little restaurant outside the city. I found out through snooping Jen's phone. They had their excuses all lined up. Jen was supposedly visiting her mom, and Mike was hanging with his brother. In a twist of fate, Rachel picked me up from home, and we drove to the very restaurant where our spouses were having their romantic dinner. Seeing them there, through the window, felt surreal. My heart pounded in my chest, but I kept my cool. We requested a table just out of their view, but strategically positioned for them to see us in case they moved around. As we began our pretend date, Jen got up to use the restroom. We saw her legs swing from their booth, and that was our cue. I started recording video on my phone and propped it up against my glass. I quickly looked up into Rachel's eyes and we laughed. We flirted. We acted like two people madly in love. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jen's body pause, most likely shocked at the sight of us. As soon as she moved on, we watched the video. She shook her head, as if dismissing what she just saw, then rushed off to the restroom. Her face was a mix of terror and disbelief. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. When she returned, she took a different route to avoid us. A few minutes later, Mike glanced over. Seeing us, he turned pale. It was showtime. Rachel and I walked up to their table, hand in hand, greeting them like old friends. Their shocked faces were a sight to behold. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction. With a smirk, I told them, "Oh, don't worry, you two. We know everything." And as it turns out, we've been seeing each other for 6 months, so no big deal. Their faces turned beet red. I got up, flustered, tried to say something, then simply stormed off. Jen was left at the table, too shocked to react. Looking at her, I shrugged and said, "Hey, your ride is leaving. You had better catch him before he leaves." As the reality of the situation crashed down, she quickly got up and scampered off, trailing behind Mike. Once they were out of sight, Rachel and I walked back to our table and settled back into our seats. The waiter, undoubtedly confused, served us our desserts. We sat there, smiling at each other, basking in the aftermath of our twisted performance. Sure, it was petty, but in that moment, it felt good, and it felt right. But then it hit us. This fun and exhilarating evening marked the end of long chapters in our lives. It was a closure of sorts. It was bittersweet. Amidst the shared laughter, we found ourselves tearing up, gripped by the gravity of the situation. We spent the rest of the evening sharing our deepest thoughts, fears, and dreams. The bond that was formed in the crucible of our spouse's betrayal began to deepen. Rachel dropped me off at home later that night, and as I waved her off, I realized that we were stepping into new chapters of our lives, battered but not broken. As I walked back into my empty house, I felt an odd sense of relief wash over me. It was over. The lies, the deceit, the betrayal, it was all out in the open. As much as it hurt, it was also liberating. My heart ached, but it was also hopeful. I knew I would be okay. We would be okay. We had each other's backs. So here I am, sharing my twisted tale with you guys. It's strange, the paths life takes us on. I never imagined being in this situation, but then again, who does? Life's a crazy ride, and all we can do is hold on tight. Rachel and I are still in contact, supporting each other through the mess. We don't know what the future holds for us, but that's okay. For now, we are friends, comrades in this absurd journey. The chaos has given way to calm, and we are finding our footing again. It's a new beginning, a fresh start, and no matter how it turns out, I'm glad I have someone to share it with. And to everyone going through similar stuff, remember, you're not alone. It's okay to feel angry, to feel hurt. Just know that there are always people willing to lend an ear, offer a shoulder, and if you're lucky, join you for a dramatic dinner at a quaint little restaurant outside the city. Keep your head up, things do get better. As they say, the night is always darkest before the dawn. So hang in there, fellow Redditors. We're all in this together. These two seem like good people who are probably a lot of fun. I hope everything works out for each of them. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.